2:30. It took me an hour to get through the traffic at the airport.
You're good.
We're here. We're good. Well, as you know, when I got off the plane, I didn't do this physically, but spiritually, I knelt down and kissed the ground.
Yeah.
I am so thankful for this country and the opportunities that you have in this country. It's amazing.
And for Whataburger.
But I'll tell you guys, when you go over there and spend time with people and you get to know the people, anywhere, this isn't just India, but anywhere, you're going to rethink your theology. Now, I know that sounds like you're going from experience to truth. Well, you know that I've already started dealing with the truth area, so I'm open to certain things I used not to be open to. And then I go over there and say, there's living examples all around me of conclusions that we have come to. I'm telling you, we're talking about these young, late teenager to mid-20s young people. You would want to have them as your kids. You would want them to be models for your kids, both those who have trusted in Christ as well as those who haven't yet. Now, that's the point I'm trying to make right there. What's up with that? What's up with these people being so, not reserved isn't the word, help me out. They're so guided. They're so moral, honest, on track. Now, when I say honest, they're like us. They got their problems, okay? And sometimes if they need to tell a fib, they'll tell the fib, but it's not their nature. It's just a yield to a temptation, to get out of trouble or to get out from a beating or something if they're, still living at home. But I looked at these kids and I thought, it just doesn't fit. The idea of total depravity doesn't fit. And I basically, I don't know, 15 or 20 people. I just adopted 15 or 20 young people.
Good.
I've got now grandchildren, okay? 15 or 20 grandchildren. And I came across, you guys have met Curtis Tucker.
Sure.
Okay. Came across a guy that doesn't have the training that Curtis has, but when you look at him, he just absolutely radiates Christ. He's only been a Christian less than a year. Trusted Christ less than a year ago, and it just changed his life. I mean, he radiates Christ. And he's in the area where they're trying to develop some income, so that they're trying to sell T-shirts and stuff, door to door. And he knocks on the door. Are you interested? No. I said, well, I got something else for you. Got to tell him about Jesus. And I mean, he's passionate about it. He's an amazing young man. If we can get him some training, he's going to be focusing on English, just getting fluent in English this next year. You're going to hear about this guy. Mm-hmm. And then the pastor that I worked with, he's a cross between a preacher and an apologist. As a result, he comes across very strong. But he is absolutely 100% open to where we're coming from. And we spent, I don't know how many hours, it seems untold hours in that month, talking through all the issues that we've been discussing for the last, 6 to 8 years here. And he was just like his, he had all kinds of questions. He kept asking about the questions that we've discussed numerous times. And yet when he showed him the scriptures, he would look at the scriptures and just say, that doesn't fit, does it? I said, doesn't fit with our old paradigm. And then at both conferences, he helped me explain, what I was trying to get across better than I could, because, he was relating it to their culture, their Indian culture. So, and Amy Kumar is my hostess that came from, she She's Indian. She grew up over there. She got married. They moved here, spent 20 years here. She went through Criswell Bible Institute, got her degree there, then felt God calling her back over to India to have a ministry. And guys, that's one of the best ministries as far as multiplying yourself I've ever seen. We're not talking about numbers. We're talking about real quality people. I mean, she is an amazing person. She's got a gift of discernment, sort of like Todd does down there. And she'll sit there and listen to you, and she just won't buy it. She said, no, there's something here. And just, I'm not sure what this is, but, I'm sorry. And she is such a lovely person spiritually. She's got a reputation through much of India already. I mean, it's kind of like a Mother Teresa kind of image that here's someone that's a spiritual giant.
And where is she? This is Southeast India?
This is, I got to think, Chennai. We pronounce that Chennai.
How do you spell it?
Chenai. I want you to, in your mind, I want you to write this word down. CONTRIBUTION. What's that word? Contribution. So I wrote that. I was finally, my last week or so, I was finally picking up. I know why we can't speak to one another, because they were having a terrible time with my accent, not my accent. This is going to illustrate what it is.
Controversy.
Well, you're ruining my thunder here, Paul. But the next word I wrote, the next word I wrote was CONTRIBUTE.
Oh, contribute.
Contribute.
That's right. Contribute.
That's the way the British say it.
Anyway, if you're hearing these words roll on and somebody says contribute, does that ring a bell to you? Doesn't ring a bell in this brain, I said, no, it's contribute. You got to put the accent here, not here.
Why?
And here with the pastors conference, PREDESTINE.
Destin.
Predestined. I want you to know
that gets tough.
You're predestined. I'm what? Predestined.
Take that back.
Yeah, you take that back, or we're going to go round and round here.
Thanks one to know what.
And see, it's not that we're not trying to communicate with the right word, but we're putting the accent on the wrong syllable.
Yeah.
And so, just like I've never said Chennai before in my life, but it's Chennai over there, not Chennai.
It's the old George Bernard Shaw quote. The British and the Americans are two people separated by a common language.
Yeah, that is so true. So
they say controversy.
Controversy.
Yeah, controversy.
Yeah. Well, it's but their hunger is off the chart. Yeah.
How are you? How are you physically?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I want to share that on our Bible study today. I went over there. My back was just horrible. I don't know what it was, but something in my lower back was absolutely killing me. I could hardly stand up or sit down. I actually had to go buy, because it's cheaper to buy used ones than to rent crutches to walk over on. And I went through the airport in a wheelchair with crutches, and they were praying ever since they heard that about 2 days before we left. They were praying. And part of their prayer was, we pray that when he gets over here, he's going to hang the crutches up and never use them again. So when I walked out of the airport, it was like something popped. It went from my back to my abdomen. It was like, what was that? But it's still here. So then we walk and we to the car. We drive to my hostess' house. I go up the elevator. I go in the door. I lay the crutches against the wall and never use them again. It's just a God thing. I mean, it was just amazing, you know, and it was their prayers for me. And so for me to be able to tell them that, I mean, that's exciting because they have nothing. So as a result, they really believe in prayer more than we do. Okay. Because we know we can always fall back on something, but they have nothing to fall back on. And so to have prayer time with them, there was one sweet lady that we had staff prayer together, and I couldn't understand a word she was saying because she didn't speak in English. Okay, she did in Tamil. That's another dialect. Amy grew up in Telugu. Okay, but this isn't Telugu. This is a related dialect, Tamil. And so she would pray in Tamil. The only thing I would recognize is Philippians 2:9, Philippians 2, something. I said, oh, okay. My mind would race to that verse, and I would, oh, okay, I know what she's praying. And it was amazing. And she would just pour out her heart praying, but you could hear the verses. She was praying back God's will back to him. You promised in this verse, you promised in that verse. How encouraging.
Yeah.
Just absolutely amazing.
How many translators did you have, and how did they translate for you?
Well, the pastor that I talked about was my main translator, but in-house, when we're not at a conference, there was a guy that's on their staff that spoke really good English, and he could translate easily. There's more to be said there. So, so I got basically 3 translators, counting Amy, but because Tamil is not her native dialect, there were so many times that she couldn't. She said, "I don't know where to go with that." So,
We had to go from Southern to English.
Yeah, from Alabama to English.
So the amazing thing is the response was from both conferences was about as good as you could possibly even pray about. And so that before I could get through with the conference, there were 2-day conferences. Before we could get through, they were already asking me to come back, both conferences.
Wow.
So that was
Is that
fun.
next week?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think, we're going to need a little recuperation time. And
What about the food? How did you do?
oh my gosh, it was even better. Now, Amy is one awesome cook. So guys, I ought to look like I've gained weight. That's what I ought to look like, because I had the best Indian food. I got to where I could take it hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter. We went out one time for a meal together, and we went to a Chinese place, believe it or not. And the young man that I discussed that was like Curtis, he'd never had Chinese food. He'd never had a pizza. We introduced him to pizza, and he actually liked it. We introduced him to Chinese food, and he loved it. He doesn't eat seafood. And I had some small, which was interesting, some small shrimp tempura shrimps. Okay. Oh my gosh, he was popping those things in his mouth. He said, "This is seafood? We can do this." But he ordered a chicken dish that you read it and it looks like it's hotter than blazes. I said, I'm going to stay away from that. I'm going to get this other chicken dish. Well, mine came out. When you looked at it physically, it came out red. That tell you something?
Yeah.
Better watch out. This is on fire. And so I ate a few of his. I said, that's not even seasoned. I mean, it's not hot at all. I put one of those pieces in my mouth, and my mouth went on fire. I said, we're swapping. I'm taking it here. And he would just throw that in like popcorn shrimp. Just, wow. So, but the food was outstanding. The more I ate, the more I wanted to stay and eat more. because Amy would always come out, and it's all based upon rice. But that's long grain rice that's just different. It tastes different. It's just, but an Indian can eat a plate full of rice that none of us could eat. And probably half of us couldn't eat it together. And that's just normal. And, but they would have different curry seasoned sauces on top. Just absolutely amazing. And I loved everything I ate. There wasn't one dish that I can at least remember that I even had trouble with. The funny thing is, when I was going over, in anticipation of this, I was wondering, I really need to lose some weight. I don't think I lost any weight. I think I gained weight. It was really good, guys. So the food was good. Health-wise, it was good. Accommodations were great. But the best accommodations I've had in Dia, period.
This is on the coast, isn't it? You were near the coast.
The what?
You were near the coast.
Yes, it's southeast.
Yeah.
Chennai.
You used to go.
It used to be Madras.
Oh.
The old where the Madras shirts came from that we used to buy way back when. That's the city that they changed the name to.
You used to go inland, right? Where you used to go was inland.
Oh yeah, more inland, and you usually fly into either Delhi. That's in the north, way north. And I got an invitation to come back to Delhi from a relative of Amy's.
Oh.
Then or Mumbai, which is the old Bombay. It's Mumbai now. That's on the coast, on the west coast. And then Hyderabad's right in the middle. If you come Mumbai, then Hyderabad. Then you go to the east coast and down. It's pretty much all the way down. That's Chennai. Yeah, there it is, right there.
There you are.
Didn't the density just take you back?
The what?
The density.
Oh,
Density, just
guys,
people is just
elbow to elbow.
The Den City.
I cannot wait.
Den City.
Yes, the Den City. Everybody, I want half of you to go back with me. I want you to prepare your lessons and what you're going to teach when we go back. You know what you got to experience? The traffic.
Yeah.
it's hard to describe.
They don't follow the lanes at all.
No, most roads don't have lanes.
Well, both sides of the road, about a third of each lane on each side is full of people. So there's really only one lane. And oncoming traffic, you just do one of these.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
The very last minute, right?
Yep.
It's-
And the funny thing is, you got a bazillion motorcycle riders, and you can have anything from one person riding it to 4 or 5 people riding that one motorcycle.
Exactly right.
And they're going in and out. I mean, you look at that. If there's another coat of paint on the car, we would have either hit a car or we would have hit a motorcycle. It's
Get used to that.
absolutely. But you got to experience it, and all of a sudden you come back here and say, we are lousy drivers. All we got to do is kind of look 2 ways. They've got to look 9 different ways, because at an intersection, anything goes. I mean, they just come at you.
That's why they acclimate well when they're cab drivers in New York.
Yeah, it's so easy.
It's a tough environment, but not as tough as what they came from.
But they call these auto rickshaws. An auto rickshaw. Well, it basically has, it's like a triangle. It's got 1 wheel up front. It's got 2 in the back, and it's motorized. And I did not know this until this trip. They have supposedly they have the right of way.
Okay.
Don't have one of those guys. Well, they're just turning any way they want to. They turn in front of a car or a truck that's steaming down the. They know that it's like the cows. You see these cows just meander down the middle of the road. Somehow they know they can't get hit. They know they're immutable. They're invincible, rather. You don't kill, you don't hit. You can get in serious trouble by hitting a cow because they're sacred.
They use their straight ahead lights at the intersection. In Nigeria, you got left turn, you got right turn, and your emergency flashers, the straight ahead.
Yeah, well, so many cars and motorcycles don't even have their lights on. It's just, are you crazy? And they don't, over here, your motorcycle, you crank it up, the light comes on. It's law, not over there. So it's, the traffic is something that you need to experience, because you'll come back here in a totally different perspective on traffic. It's symbiotic. The traffic laws are just kind of suggestions. Okay, you can follow them or not. Like you said, you can have a divided highway, and by the way, they always drive on the wrong side anyway. The wheel is on the right of the car, and they're driving on the left, side. If it's a 2-lane, they're in the left lane.
Influence.
Yeah, and so they're already backwards. And so here you're driving down here, and you see this motorcycle coming right at you. I said, no, because he's going to turn over here, right, and it's just easier for him. And everybody just understands it. It's not like a Texas driver said, I'm taking my road, my part right here, and I'm coming right at you. No, that's none of that. You just give and take, and didn't see one wreck. Nobody fall off a motorcycle. No, nothing happened. So it's such a different culture. And, you can almost tell a person's status by what they're traveling in. Walking, bicycle, auto rickshaw, motorcycle, car. So you just kind of tell where they are.
How many conferences did you do?
Well, we had 2, and then we had a kind of a last minute one set up, and I said no to it. It was some of the pastors that were supposed to come to the pastors conference couldn't make it. And so they wanted me to come to their church and do a 1-day conference on hermeneutics.
Confirmed.
I said, that'd be such a waste of time. You couldn't get started on that. So I just said that wouldn't work. So, but the good news is, like I said, they've invited me back. And so if they invite me back, must have done something right. God was there to lead the way.
I love the Crutch's story. That's terrific.
Yeah.
Did you have enough time to save all those people?
Had a lot of opportunity to talk about salvation and correct some thinking about salvation. And I was telling you, the guys here, that the last night I was there were 3 young men that have been talked to for some time, sharing Jesus with them. But they've kind of complicated the message a little bit, because they're trying to get people to become Christians. Well, that's a lethal thing over there. I did not know this until I got this, went over this time, that some Hindu families, while it's disturbing to them, they won't throw you out of the house, kind of thing, if you become a Christian, as long as you're not baptized. Because most Hindus, that once you're baptized, you get a Christian name. You change your name. Well, what difference does that make? Well, you no longer get deduction or revenue from the government for dependents. And so it's not so much of the religion as, guess what? That impacts us financially. So,
Gotta eat.
yeah, absolutely correct. Now, those that didn't hear this, I was telling some of you guys earlier that they were still on the caste system. And the people that we were working with, for the most part, were of the lower caste, okay? But what I did not know is that below the lowest caste, there are 6 more divisions.
Who are those people? What are their
Well, I can't remember
distinguishes them?
all, but I can tell you what the lowest one was. The very lowest one was if you have anybody in your family that had leprosy and you're a descendant of a leper, you're down here. And when you fill out all your forms, they will add to your form the letters M, B, C. More backward class than a lower class.
Wow.
So all these people have such obstacles to overcome just to make a living, just to get by. And once again, you go over there and if I were to bring the people that I spent most of my time with and put them around this table and, in this room, it would so encourage you of how God has protected these people all their lives. It would just be amazing. When I say protected, kept them tenderhearted, sweet,
Gentle people.
gentle, just absolutely lovely people. And our little theological grids, you just wouldn't apply it. You just can't apply it. Yeah.
Is there very much leprosy over there still?
No, they've got it almost wiped out because they finally figured out, what most of it is. It's a virus, and they know how to cure it. But you've got some remains of it still. But see, that's not their thinking. They're more what's the word I want? Superstitious. That if you have something like that dreaded disease, well, then God is cursing you. God is chastising you for something done in this life or a past life or something.
Or done by one of your ancestors.
Yeah.
That's handed down the curse.
Yeah.
Did you ask anybody to explain Hinduism to you?
Oh, no, I didn't, because the last time I went, I got some videos. But if you want this little video, I've got a good one for you. It's the word we use is interesting. It's interesting, but it gives you the background of where some of their major gods came from and what their roles are.
Ganesh.
Yeah, and it's very interesting.
We were on a boat tour from Mumbai to Elephante Island, so it was about an hour to get over there. So we asked our guide to explain Hinduism, several of us, Hinduism to us. We got over there and got off. He goes, "What did he say?" I mean, it was the most confusing thing I'd ever heard. And we listened intently, no distractions on the boat, and he tried to run through how it all worked. I didn't get there. Just couldn't even follow the logic. Well, I'm sure it wasn't really.
Yeah.
It was complicated.
Well, you got, well, we won't go into it, but you got some major gods, and they all had their roles. Like one's a monkey god, and that's what he's called, monkey god. He's a monkey, but he's also a god, and he has different things that he does. And one is he's the god over the traffic. I tell you what, I don't know who he is, but we need to just honor him some way, because if you drive in that traffic and you don't get killed, he must be doing a pretty good job.
Thousands and thousands of gods. Though.
Yeah, they got now, it goes up. They used to have like 1 million. Now I'm told they have like 3 million gods.
Wow.
And I said, well, can you name them? No.
They named the big three.
Yeah.
Shiva, is
Yeah.
it Shiva?
So
Shiva, Ganesh, and
The monkey god.
the tough guy, whatever his name was. I don't know.
well, see, I forget the names because they're Hindu. I mean, and I just can't retain them. But it's interesting to look into it. And once again, I've got a video that kind of shows you where they came from. It's
So how did you get involved with this place that you went to? Because you had been to India before. Was that a different group?
yes, completely.
So contrast those and how you went to that other one and why you went to this one.
The first time I went to India, I went with one other person, Dr. Charlie Bing, B-I-N-G. He and I went to Kakinada to a pastor's conference of 450 people. Okay. And at that conference, a young man kind of gravitated to me, and his Christian name was Samuel. And so basically Samuel and I started emailing, and he would ask questions, I would answer the questions. Well, he's the person that I connected with. He's not in Kakanata, and I get my directions mixed up because this is a village, this isn't a city. He had a house church with his father, I think, south of Kakanata, and about an hour's drive. And he invited me over. And so the first 2 times I went, after Kakanata, I went to visit him. Then I did in the middle of the country, Nagpur, which is just north of Hyderabad. I did a seminary training there. And then I came back to his village again, and then we came down south. How did I come down south? My first trip over there was in the Kakanata area, where the conference was. Well, my wife stayed here, and my mother-in-law sits in the back of the church because she's afraid she will start coughing and disrupt the service, and so she sits in the back of the church. And if you would like to ask me how many times she had a coughing spell in the 14 years that she's been here, I'd say never, but she's afraid she's going to have one. And so my wife was sitting back there with her, and she noticed this woman with a sari on, okay, which is their traditional dress. So she went up to meet her, and it's Amy Kumar, who was a member of our church, Park Cities, and turns out that she actually grew up in the Kakanata region around that city. And so we just hooked up, connected so quickly and significantly. So Amy grew up in India. She got married. When she got married, her husband moved here, so she's coming here. They lived here for 25 years. Her husband dies. She goes to Criswell Bible Institute, gets her degree, and then starts going back to have a ministry where she grew up in India. And she's something. She's really a special lady. So that's how I ended up there. And her idea of discipleship, what it started with, her whole ministry. I don't know why she did this. She's asked to speak everywhere. Well, she went to an orphanage to speak, and there were, young kids there, and she basically pulled out 10 of them. And I don't know if they were officially adopted or what, but she pulls out 10 to take care of.
Wow.
And she leads them to Christ. She trains them in English. She's trying to prepare them for a job, to get a job so they can support themselves. And those kids are the heart of her ministry. So as they mature, they just attract people, all these young people. And so people come in there and they well, we want what you have. Oh, let us tell you about that. So it's just been amazing. So then the Indian government, somehow got excited about her nonprofit organization. So she had to change it into a for-profit thing. And she's selling T-shirts, and there are like 3 or 4 aspects to how she changed it just to meet the government requirements. But she is trying to help Indian people who have nothing.
Mhm.
So that's
And she's in Chennai.
Yeah. She moved down there, and she's actually trying to provide for all the needs of the people that she's pulling to herself.
How did she handle the new paradigm? Going
She
through
was-
Criswell.
And she was incredibly open.
Right.
And I was a little concerned. I was going to stay away from it, but it comes up. And so I said,
Like
well,
what, your second sentence?
Right after roll, right after roll tide.
Yeah, yeah. And hello.
so
Hello, RTR, and the new paradigm, right?
the, you know, I want to go back.
Yeah.
Not
It's a
right
fascinating
away,
place.
but
So are you scheduled to return or is it?
no, they asked me when could I return? I said, you know what? No, that's not the way we're going to work this. We're going to work this when you've done your part. When the church has started developing leaders, disciples, I'll come back to help you minister to those people to help it grow. But we're going to wait for that to take root before I go back again. But guys, I'm an old guy. It's a little hard. Trip is a little
Look on
hard.
that map, is that below the equator?
No.
Well, I tell you what, I thought, I actually took, not this heavy, but I took 3 long sleeve shirts and 2 short sleeve shirts. Because it was, this is their cool weather. January is their cool month. My
Brutal.
goodness.
Brutal.
Oh, it was, well, for me, I'm hot natured. So,
Not for anybody.
yeah, I think the coolest it got was probably low 70s. Okay. And that's when you're asleep in bed.
It's close.
That sure is.
Closer than I thought it was.
So I'll give you my traffic story. I got 2 anecdotal stories. Cheryl and I spent a month over there. So we really spent a lot of time in the country and time to learn stuff. So we're in Jaipur, my complexity. So we're sitting in the cab and the vehicle in front of us is a horse-drawn cart.
Mm-hmm.
And the vehicle behind us is an elephant.
Was what?
An elephant.
An elephant.
And we're stopped at an intersection. Is that crazy? And the thing that impressed me one time, we were driving between 2 big cities. We decided we just want to drive. There's several of us, a little minibus thing. And we just pulled in this little town. And most of the buildings were built out of cow dung bricks, except the school.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of town was a school built out of cinder blocks. It was pristine, clean, painted, and the rest of the place was just disaster. That school was there because that was the way out. And in that particular place, we were taking pictures of the kids playing, and then digital camera, and then showing them the pictures. And some of them had never seen themselves.
Yeah.
And they were just squealing. They were so excited.
Amy and 2 other people are going to take, I don't know if it's 5 or 8 of these kids that they've been working with to Delhi.
Oh boy.
Okay. And she got some finances from a church to pull this off over here. Most of those people not only have never been on a train, they've never flown. This one girl said, I've never even seen the airport.
Wow.
Most of these people are born, live, and die in the city that they're raised without going any further than that. And that's all that they know. So I'm telling you, I'm not the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I'm creative. So I'm over there, I'm thinking, we need to change this. We need to change it. So I'm thinking about what can these, I call them kids, but they're 20 to 27 years old, basically. Of the 3 guys I talked about, one's 18, one's 19, and one's 23. Okay. But they just need some help to be successful. Mm-hmm. We went to a place that's similar to Starbucks. Okay, it's not. It's called Brew, BREW, Brew Room. And it's on the other side of the city, and it takes about 30 minutes to get there, as you could imagine with the traffic and stuff. And I mean, it's like America. It's brewed coffee. You got your pastries. But they also serve sandwiches and salads. And I'm thinking, you know, you start this on the other side of town. Not only would people come because it's as close to American as you can get without being American, and they want to be they want to be to experience that life. These kids could run this. So I'm just thinking. I'm thinking out loud. I'm trying to think. How can we just provide something for them to?
What do they do now? I mean, have they gone to college? Are they accountants? Are they retail workers? I mean, what do they do?
Well, most of them are still living at home, okay? Of the 10 that we mentioned earlier, not the others that have been drawn in, but the 10, they've all been going to college. But the college is not like our college over here. And so they're trying to be a CPA, or they're trying to be, this one gal got her degree in civil engineering, but she can't find a job, okay? But she's already done, and she needs to support herself. She needs to support her mom, who we also pray for, who also is now blind in one eye, and I'm continuing to pray for that. But you know, there are lots of needs, and you know, even if they have what the educational system would provide, they can't find a job.
Do they all have a communication network? Do they have like cell phones? Do they have computer? I don't think they have computers, but do they all have cell phones?
Everybody has a cell phone. Just, you know.
They almost skip landlines.
Yeah.
They're so expensive, there's so few, just jump straight to cell phone.
But computers, I don't know that I saw anybody with a computer. But cell phone, yeah, they can use their cell phone, but probably it's mostly what kids use cell phones for.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have like an internet on their cell phone, do they?
They can.
They do? Okay.
Yeah, but they don't know where to go,
Yeah,
except YouTube. You know.
sure.
But they don't.
Now, when halfway through your conference, there was a murder of a pastor, is that correct?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, I don't know a lot about it, but it was the first conference was the leadership conference. And then after the leadership conference, we had a weekend before the pastors conference, there was a murder right in the neighborhood of where we were going to hold it. And the tension was just higher than a kite. So they decided to move the venue to a small church that was actually, rather than 30 minutes away, it was 10 minutes away. So travel-wise, it was better, but that distance made probably only a third of the people come.
And how many people at the first conference?
36, I
And
think.
at the second?
About 16.
So that's good. You had some interaction and.
Well, the people, the lowest number are all either in seminary or seminary graduates or older pastors. So you can imagine there was some give and take and some exchange going on at that conference.
So what's their, just theologically speaking, what's their biggest question? You know, what topic comes up?
Can we pause this?
Mm-hmm.